Okay, let's jump right in. We are looking at a truly fascinating explainer today. It takes this dense, 2-year systems engineering journal and completely reimagines it as a gentle, watercolor-tinted bedtime story. It's brilliant, really. Instead of cold, rigid flowcharts, we're exploring the profound mechanics of human change through this beautifully whimsical, neurodivergent-friendly, and trauma-aware lens. We're literally looking at existential systems through the eyes of a trickster, a prince, and a little girl.
So our fable actually kicks off with the trickster coyote leaning on a fence post. He's spinning a tale about chasing the wind to the little prince and Cindy Lou Who. And this framing, it is just so intentional. It softens the crushing weight of those big existential questions. It reminds us that, hey, you don't always have to tackle life's deepest glitches head-on like a soldier. Sometimes, to really understand the map of human connection, you just gotta read sideways.
Now think about the stark contrast between our starting point and where we actually want to end up. We begin in what we'll call the library. Think of it as this rigid, highly analytical fortress of self-optimization and armored division. But our destination? That is the kitchen, a space that is warm, domestic, deeply vulnerable, and beautifully interdependent. This whole explainer is basically the roadmap for that seemingly impossible commute.
It's a complete evolution from trying to conquer your environment to simply giving it room. The vibe literally softens from these clinical, rigid blueprints and spreadsheets into an organic, living garden. We're talking butterflies, changing seasons, and just ordinary embodied presence. It's not just a cute change in scenery. It's a fundamental structural shift in how the observer interacts with reality itself.
Right. So to really grasp this shift, we have to look at where our protagonist, the engineer, started out back in 2024. They were completely stuck in this Sisyphus trap. They were trying to use a highly structured journaling tool to audit, correct, and optimize away their own trauma and bitterness, literally treating their own emotional life like a malfunctioning software program that just needed a tighter feedback loop.
And their method was brutal. Divide, componentize, recombine, and conquer. But here's the thing, this wasn't a path to healing at all. It was a massive defensive architecture, a closed loop meticulously designed so the engineer never ever had to experience the terrifying vulnerability of unmediated dependency. It was the ultimate way to stay completely self-reliant and, well, safely isolated.
But then comes the Wizard of Oz moment. Pulling back the curtain, the engineer realized that all their neat little categories were actually making reality incredibly stale. They were filtering the entire world into these empty, predictable gray buckets. The massive breakthrough here? Realizing that raw, wonderful reality only ever gets past our mental models through surprise. Wonder literally requires a gap in our knowledge.
Which brings us to an absolutely crucial turning point, the concept of still luck. This is the exact moment our systems engineer's armor hit its absolute brick wall. Still luck is that quiet, profound concession that you can do the math perfectly, you can prep flawlessly. And the outcome? It's still completely contingent. It's the humbling realization that we simply do not own the mountain and we do not own the wind.
So, this poses the ultimate glitch in the system. The engineer asks, how can an embedded observer completely observe itself? Well, spoiler alert, they can't. If you are inside the system, mathematically speaking, you have blind spots. Total self-reliance isn't just hard, it is completely impossible, because you literally cannot see the whole picture from the inside.
And this rupture of outcomes forces a massive paradigm shift. Sure, preparation and observation survive the journey, but they no longer get to claim sovereignty over reality. Contingency stops being this annoying bug that needs to be eliminated. Instead, contingency is recognized as the exact place where wonder comes from. It's the space where life actually happens.
Okay, let's explore a fascinating linguistic pivot here. There's this Greek word, anōthen, and it holds two meanings at once. On a temporal timeline, it means again, but it also means from above, as a spatial or directional shift. Now, English translators usually force a choice here, which tragically turns profound directional shifts into mere self-improvement projects on a linear timeline.
But our little prince learns that true transformation isn't just about trying harder to optimize a timeline or hit a new goal. It is a massive structural shift in perspective from above. It's about abandoning the conqueror mindset entirely and stepping into the role of a relational observer. You aren't just reading the exact same map a little bit better, you are suddenly looking at a completely different landscape.
You can actually track this evolution of the behavioral operating system. The protagonist shifts from the highly controlling engineer to the epistemologically humble fool who admits they don't know it all and finally lands as the relational observer.
What this proves is that the system isn't some broken object inside you to be fixed. It's a living pattern that arises between separate agents.
To make sense of this, the explainer borrows this beautiful concept from ecology called the edge effect. In permaculture, the richest, most vibrant life always happens exactly at the boundary where two different ecosystems meet, not in the safe, uniform center of either one. So, our true identity? It's actually found in those beautiful, unpredictable collisions at our edges with other people.
But before we can safely land in that relational kitchen, we have to audit our roadblocks. We have to actively unlearn the defensive maneuvers we use to dodge authentic connection. Things like pre-weaning our emotions before we even get attached, or stacking busywork to avoid primary bonds, or giving with a built-in exit clause. These are the last stubborn remnants of the library's armor.
And this leads to such a magnificent climax. The engineer finally drops the clipboard and says the scariest words imaginable. I need you. But listen, this is not an admission of emotional weakness. It is a rigorous structural requirement. Because we literally cannot see our own blind spots, another pair of eyes is constitutively required to register the parts of ourselves that are completely invisible from the inside.
Coyote actually guides us through this beautiful vulnerability scale. He's showing us that moving upward from isolated building, through the terrifying surrender of control, and finally into true embodied connection, requires a total acceptance of unmanageability. It requires massive epistemic humility, the willingness to just say, I do not and I cannot know or control it all.
And so, Cindy Lou Who helps us realize we have finally actually arrived. Stepping into the kitchen means trading in our cold, perfectly calculated spreadsheets for the chaotic, beautiful warmth of kittens, changing seasons, and the quiet comfort of just being present together. That grand, exhausting, recursive machine of self-optimization, it is finally turned off. Which brings us to our profound resolution. After 46,000 words of dense engineering journals, the ultimate ethic gets distilled down to just 3 simple lines. 1. Go do what you do. 2. You be you. And 3. Give the room to be them too. It's this incredible ethic that preserves your personal agency, but allows you to discover others, rather than trying to constantly manage them.
Giving someone room isn't just a sweet metaphor. It is actually a crucial systems variable. By leaving that negative space open, you aren't losing control at all. You are preserving your very capacity to discover who that other person truly is, without imposing your own rigid definitions or blueprints onto them before they even speak.
So, as our epistemic fable wraps up, and we leave Coyote, the Little Prince, and Cindy Lou Who resting in the kitchen, I want to leave you with a thought about your own edges. What kind of wonders might emerge in your life if you stop trying to trap the wind in a spreadsheet, let go of the conqueror's blueprint, and simply left the room open?